This explains a lot of cases of people who, no matter what they do, no matter how good they eat, can't seem to lose weight. The body is designed naturally to be truly well, and when it's not, it's off blueprint. Structure is designed to support function. When it goes off, it hinders function. As far as weight loss is concerned, this is the hidden problem. People who are having trouble losing weight usually have neglected this part. Chiropractors have the secret, and you've had the secret the entire time. Now you're starting to get the idea why we call it breakthrough.
You're listening to Breakthrough Radio from Breakthrough Healthcare in Jacksonville. I'm your host, Frank, here to report how to break through what's holding you back to achieving the wellness lifestyle you want. Join me as I help to bring you more self-awareness and assist Dr. Randy Haas and friends to help you increase your vitality, longevity, and enjoyment of life. It all starts right here with your next breakthrough.
And yes, it all does happen right here, right now, on yet another episode of Breakthrough Radio. I am your host, Frank, and I'm pleased to be with you here for yet another breakthrough, as if that's even possible from all the wattage we've been pounding out so far here at Breakthrough Radio Jacksonville. However, there is something you absolutely need to know, a secret that chiropractors have known all this time about weight loss, that they haven't been planning to keep secret, but that people have not actually taken the time to take notice. And it's something so obvious that it's right under your nose. And as a matter of fact, by the end of the episode, you're going to be able to verify this one for yourself. And I don't mean going to Google or on the internet. You're going to be able to look straight in the mirror and find exactly what we're talking about here. We're going to talk about a breakthrough where posture relates to weight loss. That's right. The magic word of the day is posture. Now, as you know, the big breakthrough at Breakthrough Healthcare is raising self-awareness, because self-awareness, the awareness of the equipment that you actually have, denotes a blueprint. Mother Nature actually has a blueprint for, of course, how your body is supposed to work. Everyone knows that. But did you know that your body is built a certain way to be able to function a certain way? That's right. Structure is predominant to function. Now, hear me out on this, because I let the cat out of the bag a little early. So apologies for the spoiler. However, it's not so much a spoiler until you realize exactly what the significance of posture is. Because when I say posture to people, everybody's like, oh, I have terrible posture. That's the number one thing that I hear every time I bring up the P word. Well, what is the significance of that? Remember, this is an exercise in self-awareness. So for you to be able to understand this inherently, you're going to have to check your own posture. Now, when I mention posture, chances are, on those odds, you had the thought that there's something going on with your posture, but you didn't relate it to the topic of wellness, structure, and function, and you definitely didn't connect it to weight loss. So hang on in this episode, because this is the secret that you've been waiting for, not only to weight loss, but to all of wellness in general. Weight gain, weight retention, difficulty losing weight, those factors are symptoms of an absence of wellness. So to make the body as well as possible is exactly what the doctor ordered in terms of being able to be a healthy weight and live a wellness-based lifestyle. But how do you create it? First and foremost is you have to understand there is a blueprint. Now, what does a blueprint denote? Plans, the idea or the concept of something that was created for a certain function. Something has a function and it's designed to do that function. So the word optimum is actually built into that. Because if you invent something to perform some function, then it performing that function would be considered optimum. Isn't that true? Think about it. Doesn't matter what it is. The blueprint is the optimum function. And in its optimum, it works exactly as it's planned. Well, guess what? Even though they weren't issued to you at birth, there are blueprints for the human body. And those blueprints contain exactly how and why the body is supposed to function, what it's supposed to do. Now, a car is supposed to transport you somewhere, and in its optimum, it will perform that function. This is a given of all blueprints. Now, those blueprints, those schematics, denote two things. And those two things are very pertinent to what's missing from your current wellness scene right now: structure and function. Think about it. The function is built in, twofold. Optimum function means it gets a certain job done, but it's also how it gets the job done. Let's take an automobile, for instance. In an internal combustion engine, that means explosions take place. There's a fuel put in there and a spark that lights the fuel, and that explosion pushes a series of metal pistons in sequence. Specifically timed explosions push those pistons up and down, and that energy is then converted through some contrivance of machinery, which, when built exactly according to blueprint, will result in the wheels of the car turning and driving it down the road. That is optimum. So function has two things: you getting down the road and the mechanics of how all those parts work together to get you down the road. Now, here's the part that everybody forgets. This is the most basic of all fundamentals there are about anything that's been designed. What lies below the mechanics of the machinery is the actual structure. It's how are they put together. So with a car, there is a certain structure. The engine to drive the wheels has to be connected up, and it has to be stable. If it's not attached to the body, to the skeleton of the car, it's certainly not going to push the car down the road very far before it falls apart. All computers operate on this as well. And when you take apart the desktop computer, that box, when you open it up and you look at all the components in there, you see a lot of things that are confusing to you. You don't understand what they are, but they are actually put in there and assembled according to a schematic, each part having a function that work in harmony to actually create the functions that you use. It's something that is useful, and in its optimum, if it's operating according to its design, it gets all those things done. So you have those two components of function. You have the parts all working in a certain way to get a certain end result. But before that is structure. And if you look at, when you crack open that box, you'll notice screws and you'll notice metal brackets that hold panels a certain distance apart from each other. Everything is in a certain position. And if it weren't for that positioning specifically, those particular parts as one big lump wouldn't work. I challenge you to take apart your computer, take all the screws out, and just throw all that in one big clump, and the whole thing will probably short out, or at least it will start malfunctioning. And if it doesn't right away, it eventually will. This is why you have to keep up maintenance on your automobile. This is why you have to keep maintenance on your computer, because these things wear out. One of the most popular problems in automobiles is that people are not taking care of the basic structure of the car. It doesn't matter how well the engine works. If the engine falls to the ground, it won't be able to go anywhere. Now, the human body, let's talk schematics. Let's talk Mother Nature's blueprint right now, because Mother Nature's blueprint is what drives it, and actually is what drives everything that we do here at Breakthrough Healthcare. Mother Nature's blueprint accounts for a certain structure of the human body. Now, we know the human body has function. What is it supposed to do? First of all, remember the two levels of function include for what the body actually accomplishes by design, or can potentially accomplish by design. An automobile, for instance, can go, let's say, 220 miles per hour. You might not even know the car you have can go up to 220 miles an hour. That's actually where most people are with their bodies, as a matter of fact. They don't know their bodies can go 220 miles an hour. But Mother Nature's blueprint is designed for the environment that body is designed to live in. And that environment is basically planet Earth. And the planet Earth environment is what that body is designed to optimally function for, to be able to have you do some actual rather incredible things. Now, you might be thinking right now, well, I'm not doing any incredible things right now. As a matter of fact, I'm just the opposite. I have pain, or I need to lose weight, I'm out of shape, I'm not physically fit, or I've never been, or I've always been in pain, or I've always had difficulty with weight. Nutrition has never been great, or I don't sleep well, or this or that. The body is actually designed to not only do all those things perfectly, but to operate far beyond what you understand, because you've never seen the blueprint and you don't understand optimum function. Optimum doesn't mean this additive thing that you have to learn to do. That is your natural ability that you have, and that ability keeps getting hindered by blockages to it. And that is going to show up in a very obvious way I'm going to get into in a moment. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is so that you can zero in on it, because you're going to need to know that. But let's talk structure and function. Just as the computer components, you can't take out all the screws and have it just be one lump in the middle of the floor and have that computer function and do the things it's supposed to do. Nor can you when you sacrifice the basic structure of the body. And face it, look at the basic structure of your body right now. Think of some of the obvious things that you know about the body. You know it ingests food. You know you take it in through your mouth and it gets processed somewhere below. You know there are certain organs involved in digestion like the liver and the gallbladder and things like that. You know you have the kidneys and the body has filtration systems. Certain hormones get secreted and so on. And all of those things have purposes. And I invite you to listen to the previous 4 episodes to be able to really get grooved in on what that is, because I covered that extensively. And just as a reminder, if you haven't listened to those, you should definitely go back and listen to them. This is something everyone needs to know because it's a secret that will help you far beyond what you think is possible. That basic structure has a design by blueprint. And when it is at its optimum, can do some miraculous things. That is wellness by design. The body is designed naturally to be truly well. And when it's not, it means it's off blueprint. So when you have malfunction, one of the prime suspects is a problem in structure. It is those components all in a lump. Now, imagine if you took the skeletal system out of the body and you just let it be one lump of nerves and muscles, organs and glands and hormones and all of the things that are in there, and try to feed it and then try to get it to digest food. Try to get it to sleep. Try to get it to do things normally. Try to get it to even walk down the street, and you won't be able to do any of it. Now, that's the extreme. And this is one of the problems, is because it's never the extreme. It's always just slightly off, isn't it? It's always something that makes you not really able to see it, even though it's right under your nose. Now, what's the problem with the basic structure? Well, let me put it this way. Your body is designed to take a tremendous amount of stress on in life. And if you don't believe me, I challenge you on any given Sunday in the autumn, turn on American football and watch what those athletes do week in and week out to their bodies for 3 hours in a game and I don't know how many hours in practice and their training throughout the year. And here you are complaining that it hurts when you get out of the bed, or that you can't drop those last 10 pounds you're trying to get rid of and you can't get rid of no matter what you do. Now when you compare to one of these champion athletes and you think that they are someone special, and really what makes them special isn't that they have more ability or potential than you do. It's that they figured out the blueprint. They understand structure and function, and they know how to optimize structure to optimize function. Now, there's a lot to know about function. Chiropractors handle structure so that it frees up and allows maximum function, but they don't necessarily affect function beyond that. So in other words, if you don't handle the other end of it, the actual function side of it, then you have yet another problem. In other words, if you have a blockage, blocking communication between the organs and so on, let's say you're not digesting food correctly or absorbing nutrients that you need, the body is going to break down. Chiropractors free up that energy, and we'll get into that in a second. But if you free up that energy and the body's structure is now optimized and it can function, it has the potential. If there's still a problem beyond that with the actual function, you need to fix that as well. Conversely, you can't just go after function and ignore structure, because structure might be the big deal that's interfering, and it may be both. And that's what NRT, nutrition response testing, is all about. We covered that a couple episodes ago. I invite you to listen to that episode. That is another breakthrough here at Breakthrough Healthcare. So we take care of both ends here. You have to address structure and function simultaneously. Make sure that you free up function by making sure structure doesn't interfere with it and it actually supports function. And then you look at the function itself and you support that. That's pretty simplistic. So when the engine isn't attached to the chassis in the car and it bounces out, that is a malfunction of structure interfering with the function of the thing. Or if a screw came loose in your computer and a circuit board fell off onto another circuit board and was shorting it out, you're going to get wrong answers on the computer and you're going to have a problem. You're going to need a new computer, or you're going to need to take it to the repair shop. It's the same thing with your body. Now, I told you I would tie this in together and it would be very obvious to you. That structure of your body is very precise according to the blueprint, and it is perfect for the support of those organs to do the things that they do to allow you to live in an optimum fashion, as provable by champion athletes, in the conditions on planet Earth. Very stressful conditions, I might add. Just gravity alone. Most people within the reaches of this podcast can attest to the fact that they've been affected by gravity in one way or another over their lifetime, many times. 24 hours a day, you're affected by gravity, by temperature. Very, very stressful environment, and the body is designed to be able to take on that environment and do amazing things in that environment and allow you to live life to the fullest. Now, what is so obvious that you can spot it, but that you have not known the significance of that made you ignore it? Here it is. That structure was designed to be perfect. That's your skeleton right there. Now, this is something you can check out and have a look in the mirror. Have a look in the mirror at your own skeleton, and you will see the components of that. You have head, shoulders, and you have hips. They're comparable to the floors of a building. They are what we consider the horizontals, which means parallel with Earth. And you have verticals, legs, arms, but mostly you have your spine. Your spine is where everything connects up. The shoulders are connected at the spine in a T, meaning at 90-degree angles. That would be comparable to the columns in a building, which have to be, as you know, straight up and down, perfect 90 degrees with Earth. Whereas the head, shoulders, and hips, which are the floors, have to be parallel to the Earth. And everything 90 degrees of one another. And all of the muscles, the nerves, organs, glands, body systems are mounted onto that frame in a very specific way. It's like a puzzle that goes together perfectly. All those organs are designed to be held at certain distances from one another and to have conveyances in between them. There's a hormone system, there are arteries to move blood around, there are airways, and there are nerve channels that carry electricity. And I mean real electricity. And I invite you to listen to the previous episode on electricity. It's real electricity. I spent a whole episode talking about that. You should listen. Real electricity going through those nerves, and it is carrying communication between the brain and the rest of the body, every organ, to tell everything and guide it with what it needs to do. Now, one of the most common things is this structure, just like your computer equipment, can become detached and interfere with the inner workings of that computer. So can your basic structure misalign and start to interfere with that function. Now, if you really just curl your shoulders forward and lean over, kind of hunch over, you'll probably notice you take in less air, and there are certain organs in the front of your body that will become very restrictive. And for the moment, maybe it'll be a minor inconvenience, but imagine if that was over a number of years, the amount of effect that can start to accumulate. And this is another thing, because it's so cumulative, over time people don't notice this. But how would we notice? What would be so obvious right under our nose? There's where I'm going to bring the spoiler back. The answer is posture. Now I want you to think again what you thought when I first said the word posture at the beginning of this episode. When I said posture to you, you had a certain thought go through your head. And that thought probably had something to do with the fact that your posture could use some improvement. Maybe it had to do with the fact that someone told you it could use improvement, but mostly what I find in most people is that whether someone told them or not, they noticed it themselves, and there's something about their posture that's not optimum, and they know it, but have dismissed it as cosmetic and left it at that, not to be significant enough or important enough to do something about. I say, well, it's kind of a waste of time or a waste of money to sort out my posture because there are other, quote, more important things that I need to do. When it's actually the foundation of everything you're trying to do right now, including things you're trying to do in life, including functions your body needs to support those functions in life with. all of the things you're trying to do nutritionally, fitness, at work, whatever it is you do when you do you. And that is the significance of posture. Think about it. If everything is supposed to be at 90-degree angles, head, shoulders, and hips, 90-degree angles to the spine, the feet are supposed to have a certain arch and support the legs to actually keep everything on the lower body in alignment. That means between the spine and the feet, those hips are supposed to be completely level with the ground. Is one of your hips higher than the other? Look in the mirror. That's one of the most obvious ones, because one of the things most people I meet, probably at least 1 out of 2 people, come up to me and say, I have one leg longer than the other, one leg shorter than the other. They're not anatomically different in length. When the hips go off kilter due to poor support in the feet and a combination with something off in the spine where the hips connect up, and one hip is higher than the other, then of course you're going to have one leg hanging higher than the other, and it's going to appear shorter, and you're going to lean to that side. Also, if you were to get on 2 scales, you would weigh more on one side of your body at that point than you would on another. It's the same thing. If your head is tilted slightly, even a few degrees to the right or left, have more weight hanging on one side of your body than the other. Imagine how that would affect just function alone and the things that you're trying to do. If you're trying to achieve balance, playing golf, riding a bike, running, exercising, doing your job all day, if you had 30 more pounds on one side of your body than the other. Now here you aren't trying to lose 30 pounds, and those 30 you're trying to lose actually show up on one side of your body. So your body can go out of alignment in many different ways, but the symptom is the posture. The posture shows that something in that basic structure is off. And I can tell you, because it's designed so precisely, if it's off that blueprint, it is most likely interfering with the function of the body. Structure then hinders function. Structure is designed to support function. When it goes off, it hinders function. As far as weight loss is concerned, this is the hidden problem. People who are having trouble losing weight usually have neglected this part, myself included. But I now know that the structure makes all the difference in the world. And I've had many times in my life where I've done a really amazing diet and an amazing workout routine. The best time was when I was actually correcting my structural mechanics with a chiropractor in conjunction with my workout routine and diet. That doesn't mean I was seeing the chiropractor 10 times a week. This was getting checked out and figuring out, all right, what's interfering? How do we fix that? And what can I do myself to strengthen that? And that's mostly what the chiropractor gave me. I was the most in shape that I've ever been in my life. And every time I neglect one of those factors, I don't get the optimum result. And that's something you should consider as well. Now, Dr. has several levels here that he looks at. And those are the components that you should really look into. The first thing I want to recommend that you do is consult posture. Go to the mirror, check your own posture, verify. Look at your head first. Stand up, not perfectly straight. Stand how you normally stand in front of the mirror. Take a look at yourself. Take a look at your head. Does your head, when you look straight ahead, does it look straight ahead, or does it look like it's slightly looking to one side or the other? Is it tilted to one side or the other by a degree or more? Is it shifted? Does it sit exactly in the center of your body? Some people have a straight up and down head that looks forward, not tilted, but it has shifted an inch to the right or to the left. Look at the shoulders. Is one shoulder higher than the other? Does one shoulder sit a little more forward than the other? Are they rolled forward? And the same thing with your hips. Are they even? Do you have one leg shorter or longer than the other? Do your hems or pants hang exactly the same on both sides? Those are things to look for. This is in addition to any physical symptoms that you experience. All you're looking at that point is the symptom. But what lies beneath is what a chiropractor is expert in. That's 90% of what chiropractic is. It's actually an investigating tool, a measuring tool that takes the basic blueprint, Mother Nature's blueprint, and compares you to that blueprint and figures out what are the things off that blueprint that are hindering your function. Because until you handle those, you won't get anywhere. And when you correct these structural problems, many or most of, or sometimes all of, the functional difficulties will subside. They'll improve. and they'll open the door to something working where it wouldn't work before. This explains a lot of cases of people who, no matter what they do, no matter how good they eat, they can't seem to lose weight, or that last stubborn 10 pounds that you can't get to take off. That explains those things. And that's what we do here at Breakthrough Healthcare. That's what Dr. Haz insists on, and he has several programs. He's a licensed and trained chiropractor. He's a certified nutrition response testing doctor, and he's here doing that nutrition response testing, which has a lot to do with this as well. These are all testing. It's investigation, and this is all I'm recommending to you, that you get evaluated, especially that posture. Then he will be able to make recommendations to you, just as my chiropractor made recommendations for me when I got in the best shape of my life by showing me, A, what was going on, what he found that was actually going on, and B, showed me what I could do about it. And I went ahead and did those things, and I had success. And that's the last program I want to tell you about is Dr. Haz is doing something called ChiroThin. And ChiroThin is actually based on this fact. It is a longer-term weight loss program. And when I say long-term, it doesn't mean it takes a long time to get results. The reason weight loss is so grueling and takes so long is because of what we're talking about here, because people leave out structure. ChiroThin takes that into consideration. Chiropractors have the secret, and you've had the secret the entire time, and you've noticed it before. You just didn't know the significance. And isn't that wonderful to know that you can do that now? So my recommendation is have that posture evaluated. You could actually get a free screening for that posture right here at Breakthrough Healthcare. And that's what I recommend you do. Your next step is to have a conversation with Dr. Haz. Have him evaluate those things that you notice yourself, that you yourself have observed. Remember, you notice those things in the mirror. That's self-awareness. Self-awareness has two parts. Number one, know Mother Nature's blueprint is there, and that an optimum does exist, and the structure and function of your body are designed in a very specific way, and they're supposed to work far beyond what you've experienced. And that's natural, and it's unnatural to have any less than that. That's number one. And number two is to understand that anything less than that means that something has broken down in structure and function. And those need to be investigated and found, and when they are, they open the door to achieving that level. And that's what the ChiroThin program is all about. That's what nutrition response testing is all about. And all of the programs that Dr. Haz recommends for you to take those measures and steps. And that's really what's next for you, is an answer to all of that. The answer lies within what's causing those symptoms, isolating that exact cause, and then making recommendations to you based on that. And when you follow those recommendations, you get results. That's the whole point. Now you're starting to get the idea why we call it breakthrough. That is a major breakthrough in posture right there, and a breakthrough in weight loss, and a breakthrough in wellness altogether. The implications of this grow far and wide, but that's for a future episode and 100 future episodes, because we can literally talk about anything and everything and relate it back to Mother Nature's blueprint. So check that posture in the mirror. I want to thank you for tuning in for this episode of Breakthrough Radio Jacksonville. I am so super thrilled to have you here. It is a wellness party that we're having. Everyone is invited. And if you're not having a good time, something's wrong. So give the office a call today at 904-260-1993. Come in and get your posture checked. It's always free to talk about your posture, but it really starts with a self-screening. So go to that mirror and do that, and then give us a call. Again, it's 904-260-1993, and book that appointment. Get in and find out. You will leave with two things. You will get a full report on what was found about that, and you're going to get recommendations. You are in control of your future, and you can finally achieve the optimum you're looking for. So when you look at that posture in the mirror, ask yourself also, what am I trying to do with this body? If I had the body that I want, what would I want to do with it? Because now that you know what optimum function actually is, and that it's far beyond what you've ever imagined, you may have to reimagine that future, because your goals may need to be set far beyond where you had them, because suddenly you become capable of things that you'd never thought you'd be able to do. And that's what we wish for you here at Breakthrough. So here's to your next breakthrough. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode on Breakthrough Radio Jacksonville. Be good.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Breakthrough Radio Podcast, a broadcast wellness production powered by Breakthrough Healthcare. Executive producer and host, Frank Sardella. For more information, visit breakthroughradiopodcast.com.